and let's get started. So today's a lab day. I will go over labs in just a minute. Actually, let's take a little short detour first. Let's see. So if you guys remember, I should have set this up ahead of time. I forgot about this. Okay, we were setting up at the end of last class. We were setting up some projects, some actions in a basic workflow, and I ended up getting a little confused about where I was, which wasn't good. But the key that we wanted to find out was we wanted to, let's see, pop this up there. This was the repository. And then there is the quick start. Right, so we had this set up, and I wanted to show you how to do an action and show it working on something that it actually did something at. So we're going to come in here and we're going to start up an action. Do a new workflow. I am going to, let's see, is there a blank workflow? No, we'll set up the same workflow we had before. We're going to call this linter this time. And we're going to copy in some code over here. The name on this one is actually called superlinter, but I think that's all we have in there. We'll do a copy here. We'll use it to edit. The new workflow and replace it with the superlinter. And you can see here we have this set up for push. I'm going to set it up for push and for pull request. Let's see if I have this right. I do mean pull request or push. Okay, so we'll set it up in either a pull request or a push, I think. The job is superlint. It's going to do a lint on the code base, and down here are the steps it's going to run. So it's going to, check out the code. It's going to run a thing called superlinter, and it's going to run it on the default branch, which is specified here as main. I'm going to specify it as master because I don't think we changed this one. And we will commit this, and we'll commit it directly to the master branch. And what we should see, with a little luck, is when we come into actions, we should see that we are running both the linter on the code base, and hopefully I have this set up to there we go. Right, this was the basic YAML. This was the one we had before that just echoes some stuff out. It's very simple. Just throws out some things, tells us what's going on. Right, so it just runs echo hello world, echoes other actions to build, test, and deploy. So it just does some very simple printouts. And then we can go back and we look at our linter. And our linter should be doing more than that, hopefully. We can come in and look at that as well. Main thing it's doing right now is it's just pulling the super linter code to actually run the linting. And now it's running the linting, and it should find, I think, eventually, there we go, that there are errors in the markdown. So the lint wasn't clean, and we can look at what the errors were, I think. And basically what it tells us is the first line in a new file, should be a top-level heading, and that is in the context of this is the guideline. So we can come back to our code. We can look at our contributions guidelines, which don't have that, right? It doesn't have a top level. Whereas if we look at our README, the README does, right? We can look at the raw, and we can see that we have out in front of the unknown, we have this little pound sign. And we can come back in and we can do something like, let's go to our Ubuntu window where I have this pulled down already. We can do an ls, we can do a vim contribution guidelines.md. We can put our pound out in front there to turn this into a top level. Do a WQ to end, git branch linter, git checkout-b linter, sorry. And we'll just fix that. And we can do our push to the upstream. And come back into our unknown file, and we should see that the two actions kick off again. I hope. Yeah. Not yet. Oh, we have to make a pull request. Sorry. So we will make we will do a pull request on that. And now if I entered these things correctly, we're going to do a check on the status, and now we're going to do our linter again, and also the CI build. And both of these will pull out. I think the linter should go faster this time because we shouldn't have to download the linter, but maybe not. We can look at the details. Yeah, then again, it does seem like it's still pulling through. I'm going to tell you that this is still going to fail. At least last time I did it, it still failed, so I hope it still fails. So we will go in while we're working on this, and we'll fix it up so that we're ready to go next time. So the other thing that's wrong with this is there's a colon at the end, and you can't actually have a colon at the end. So I'll do a WQ there as well. And now we should be good. Come on, details. So apparently this super linter is a big file, and it takes about 2 minutes to pull. And it has to do it every time, I guess. Okay, so now we're actually running it. We checked out the code. We're running the super linter. And there we still found errors. This time it says you can't have punctuation at the end. I don't know if you can see that. There we go. How come you go slow every time except when I'm trying to show something? Yeah, so here it says found errors in Markdown, and the error this time is no trailing punctuation in heading punctuation. It doesn't like the colon. We got rid of that over here. We can go back to our merge request, pull request. Okay, and it's telling us that there were some issues with the failing checks. So you can use this to instrument any number of tests, both linting tests and actual performance tests. And if we come back in again and we do another git add -u git commit -m, let's just say hopeful. And we push back to the same branch. Hopefully that will come in. And it will also run the tests again in just a minute, I think. Anyway, we'll check this again at the end of the there's no reason to keep going through this. It's just showing you the sequence of actions you can do. So it's now running another set of checks, and you can see this should be starting over. Right, we're pulling the superlinter, and this time, with any luck, this will actually go through, and it should actually work. All right, so that's longer than I actually wanted to take. Let's go on to our, like I said, we can come back to this later, but for now, let's go on to our that looks good, huh? I'm going to stop sharing my desktop, and we will go into our presenters. We have, hopefully, we'll get through. I want to spend about a half an hour on this, so we will stop at 10 after, regardless of where we are. That'll give you an hour to do as much of the lab as possible. Is group 00008 coolies here? Raise your hand or ask to be brought in if you are. What's in the chat while I'm waiting? Yeah, Hunter, I'm finding the same thing. It seems like it would be smart to keep that hot. Okay, I'm not sure that this person is here. They are in a bad time zone, but they haven't actually contacted me with their thing. So we will move on to Boyle. Kevin Boyle, I think. Are you here? Awesome. You are invited. All right, again, I'll time you for about 3 minutes. I'll let you know if you go a little over, that's okay. If you go a little under, that's even better. And tell us about your lovely project. And they are all lovely projects.
Yeah, just give me 1 sec.
The next person is 00003 Yowen. So, get yourself ready.
Can you see the slides?
Resume, beautiful
Yes.
slides. I love the. Is that mauve or lavender?
That's a good question.
No, it's not. It's a dumb question. But thank you anyway.
So this project is called Resume, and here are some of the people that have been working on it. And this is a brand new project. So just some background is the goal was to build a personal website for like myself to show to an employer about like some projects you've worked on. But then we sort of adapted it to allow people who don't know how to make their own website to make their own and maybe use templates. So in a version that we can hopefully finish by the end of the semester, maybe a user could pick from different kinds of pages or themes that they want on their website. So if they want an about me page, resume page, talk about some projects they did, and then a special one is just like a terminal that maybe you could add so that it has your code that you've written uploaded so that they can tinker around with it, run it, see how that works, run tests, do all that kind of stuff. And then once you have all those pages set out, then you just fill out a form with name, contact info, all that kind of stuff. So just some of the background project structure stuff. We have a GitHub repo using the MIT license, and we're using this sort of repository style with forks for each developer. And then some of the progress that I specifically did myself was just kind of getting some of that, I guess, background behind the scenes stuff, just like README and like a developer guide of how to like start up, because all that, starting from scratch, getting code of conduct and getting like an issue templates, all that kind of stuff. So that's specifically, what I did, just doing some research of like maybe this could be an embedded terminal, something like this. I've also added those nice little logos you see. So we just have a couple other. I'm just going to kind of say it for everyone else, but so Christine has made some mock-ups of maybe what different themes of these pages of what it might look like for selecting those pages you want and then filling out the forms. And then we've also just started with like a blank React project, just with like a very basic, kind of first page, just kind of starting to look after the mock-ups, and that's sort of the next steps is getting these mockups converted into actual React. And so, like I said, this is like brand new project. So we're just gonna kind of start from scratch and see how far we get. But hopefully by the end of the semester, we can have something that maybe you can use. That's all.
Nice. Yeah. So it's
If
kind of
you have
a
any
boutique kind
questions,
of.
let me know.
Yeah. We'll kind of ask some questions, but why don't we get Nick Yao or Yao N up? Yeah, Nick Yao. So this is kind of a boutique thing. It's a kind of a way to showcase your accomplishments while generating accomplishments. Is that
It's sort of, yeah, like the original thing was, I wanted to just like have, like, it's, sometimes you see like put your website here,
Mhm.
but I feel like it's sort of two in one. If it's like you have a website but you also made the website, so it's like,
Yeah,
yeah, I guess kind of like you said.
cool. I'm going to take myself off the screen. I just realized that I'm still there. That's certainly not helping my processing time. All right, Nick, we're waiting for you to share your screen.
Okay, sounds good. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. At least I
Alright, give me
can.
just a sec.
Not all really that matters.
Can you see the slides?
Yes, Xalander. By the way, we have a remark from Prasant about this kind of reminds him of a static website generator, and I think in some ways it's pretty close. All right, you have something to say about that, Kevin, or you just disappeared? No problem. Okay, go ahead, Nick.
Sure. Well, hi guys. My name is Nick, and the project I've been working on this semester is Xalander. I'm currently the only student from open source software that's working on this project, but we do have a pretty sizable team, and Sneha is a great project lead. So what is Xalander? If you've ever found yourself in a class and looking back and forth between syllabi to figure out what your deadlines are for exams or homeworks, then Xalander is essentially trying to combat that problem and make it a little easier. And it does so by being an online calendar where professors and students can see dates and deadlines for multiple classes. So, for example, if you were a professor, you would set up your class, you would add all your dates and deadlines from your syllabus, and then all the students who are a part of that class would then see them on their own calendar. And as a student, you can be part of multiple classes, so it would all show up. As you can see in the top right, that's what it looks like right now. Oh, actually, I took that screenshot on the 20th, you can see, and it's the 26th now, and it's actually different, it's been updated. So I probably should have updated that, but anyways, so goals for the semester, we wanted to get the calendar working, and for the most part, it is. We just need to work on actually rendering events now. We really need to set up professor pages, so that way you can actually add and edit events. And we're working on connecting the data to the database too, so that we can pull events from somewhere and get that data rendered on the page. In terms of our organization, we are using the BSD2 clause license. Our repository is available on GitHub, and we use Discord for our communication. If you want any of that information, I can certainly give it to you. There's a lot of stuff that definitely needs to be put in place. For example, test infrastructure, that's something I do want to work on. Guidelines and code of conduct as well. In terms of contributions, personally, I've been able to get API calls working to the database through SQLize. So that's great because now we can actually put events in and pull events and render them onto the calendar. As a group though, we did get the monthly calendar mostly working, and now the database is being hosted on some free website, although Professor Turner did mention some alternatives for us that we could take a look at. In terms of our technology, it is a web application, so we are using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Our database is done through SQL, and we're using Node.js to make those API calls. In terms of progress and issues, again, rendering events is kind of a big thing right now. We're figuring out how to actually take the SQL queries and then put them into readable XML. And the database schema that we're currently using may or may not be the best, so that's something we're considering as well. But yeah, that's about it for me.
Wow, that is timing. My timer just went off. So nice. So this has been working. This has been going on for a couple of semesters.
Yeah, it's been with Arcos, I believe, since last semester. I might be wrong about that.
Yep. So so they're making some progress. I think, having talked to the other group, as part of Arcos, I think they actually are hoping to get initial launch out this semester, right?
Yeah, potentially. It still seems kind of far away.
It's good to have
definitely
goals,
a
though.
goal.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so we're going to go next to 0018 Zikak. They have a time commitment, and I agreed to let them go third, and we are a little later than I expected to be for them, so my apologies. But yeah, why don't you guys come on up? And however many of you need to be invited, raise your hands, and I'll invite you up here. We'll see how that works. So nicely done, by the way, on the Xalander. That's actually, it's of the projects we have that are tailored towards student needs. Often, organizational issues are the ones that end up making the we see a lot of things around organizational issues, and trying to keep themselves all set up correctly and so on. So this seems to be a very big issue with students, and something of very high interest. All right, this is Goals and Milestones project.
Oh, oops. All right. Can everyone see this?
Yep.
Cool. So our project is a virtual tablet, and it has 3 members: Zachary Wood, myself, Samantha Patel, and Colton Becca. So just a quick overview of what the project is going to be about. Mainly, we want to make a drawing tablet. So if you're not familiar with a drawing tablet, it's basically it's sort of like a mouse. It controls your mouse, basically. It's a tablet that you can connect to your computer, and you can basically draw stuff with a pencil instead of moving the mouse around with your actual mouse. So the problem with that is that they're usually expensive and take up a lot of desk space. So if you're just like a casual artist, or you're using it for a different purpose, it might not be worth it. So what we propose is a camera-based application that can replace a physical drawing tablet. So the camera will be pointing at your desk. Oh yeah, so how it will work. The camera will be pointing at your desk, and you can mark out a region of your desk to count as the quote-unquote drawing tablet. And then you can create a makeshift stylus using a pencil or a pen. And then the camera would track the pencil relative to the region that you marked out, and it would move your mouse accordingly. So if you put down the pencil in the bottom left corner of the tablet, then it would move your mouse to the bottom left corner of your screen. And if you draw, the mouse would follow along. So this, oh yeah.
Yeah, and so then if you just want to skip through these slides on my behalf. So then our goals and milestones for this semester, we put together some basic goals and milestones. So our minimum viable product is to have an application that can map a stylus in the real world to screen coordinates. So let's say, just looking at my video, if down here I were to just draw out a little square with blue masking tape, and I were to do something like take an expo marker and write something here, like anything like a Chinese character, just a picture, like a physics force diagram, The plan would be so that would translate to something effectively like Google Docs or something like that. Adding on, we want to something like a GUI interface to modify settings, get styles being tracked in real time, and change colors and this and that. And then lastly, just general global keybinds that turn tracking on and off, and the ability to move the mouse pointer. So, going on. The project organization, right now we have a GitHub repo set up with the following link. We also have the GPLv3 license, and we're planning on setting up, and we still need to set up stuff like a CI/CD pipeline, testing, contributing, code of conduct, style guide, and website, and so on. Project milestones, ticket management, Kanban board, and also automated tests with GitHub Actions. And then, yep, go on. And then the contributions we've made so far. So far, we've dealt with initial brainstorming for a code base, which includes file structure, our means of documentation, our tech to use, code contribution and general review structure. We also consolidated all of our educational resources because OpenCV has a ton of online documentation, tutorials, and user Q&A forums. And we also set up some preliminary goal roadmaps, as we saw before, and how we plan on documenting our learning path. And then last but not least, our progress. So far, we've narrowed down our idea and general project to doing something related to image processing. And even more so, we've narrowed it down to a concrete idea. And we also set up a repository. And for now, that's where we're at. Anyone have any questions?
Let's see. Why don't we get you guys down off the presentation? We'll get Yang B7 up there, and I'll ask a question as we're doing that. So, my main question is there are a number of open source image processing libraries. Are you using any of them, or are you gonna roll up everything from on your own?
So yeah, probably should have clarified that a bit more. We plan on using OpenCV.
That would have been my assumption. It's a good one, very powerful. It'd be interesting to see how you guys do.
Awesome. Thanks for listening, guys.
Thank you. Any more questions?
No. I think the next one is Yang B7. You guys coming up? Are you here? There we go. There's a hand raised. You are invited to the stage. Let's get you set up.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay, great. So this is Bogong Yang, and our project is called Fair Splitter, and our team members are Stephen Lee, Ying Hao Zhao, Chanfeng Xiong, and myself, Bogong Yang. Okay, so the idea of the project is like imagine a scenario where you are like locked down in quarantine with your roommates, and you like order food on some third party like food delivery platforms such as Grubhub, and only one of you got the premium access to that platform, so you can exclude some fees. So only this one person pays the food for the whole party, and you don't want to like do a transfer to your friend like each single time you order food. So the idea is you can enter uh, the amount for everyone and save uh, later it's for like payments for example like every once a month, and you just click a button and the application will tell you how much each one will have to pay to that person. And our goals is to make it usable by the end of the semester. And most of us are like relatively new to web development. So our first goal is to make sure that we all learn something out of building this project. And um, our second goal is to make it a relatively like user friendly. Otherwise, it defeats the purpose of even using the application to some like alternatives such as like spreadsheets. Um, and third, we wish to figure out a way to deploy on a local network. We're currently considering using Raspberry Pi. Uh, that is like the cheapest alternative we can find like by the time. And our progress for the time being, we decided our technology stack to be Vue.js and Flask for front end and back end correspondingly. And we didn't specify any database because with Flask you can basically use anything that is relational. You we just let the user choose which database they use. And we have separate repositories for front end and back end, just for better like project management. And we fixed some bugs, mainly the course issue when we were trying to like connecting these two parts, and it was fixed by like using some uh, Flask packages called Flask Course, and so we got past that. And currently, we are working on implementing database models for storing transactions and people. Um, so, like, uh, we'll move on from there, and after that, we'll like begin implementing the the graphic parts. And we have MIT license and code of conduct and README are currently under work. So that's it.
All right. Any questions for Bonggang? Bogong. All right. I think a lot of these you can see their application to being locked up in COVID times. You know, overhead cameras, without cheap overhead cameras or cheap whiteboards, and
Yeah.
ordering food in. I think you guys have it all figured out. Um, all right. So that's good. Why don't we? Any questions? Well, why don't you leave the stage and we'll invite the IFR group, Victoria, up.
Sure.
And any questions while we're doing this? And by the way, the next one is, I don't know who the next one is. Scheif, and then Sanfat. So I think that's Eli Scheif and Eli Schiff and Tommy Samford.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can. You sound nice. Sound perfect. Nice and clear.
Okay, great. Hey everyone, so our project name is Spoiler Block, and on our team we have Serena, Rory, Covenant, myself, Ben, Josh, and Louise. Our goals for this project are to protect users' web browsing experience from spoilers for any media that they consume. For the semester, our goals are to help filter spoilers out of suggested search results, hide spoiler-related content on web pages, tailor results to show for the show that the user is watching, and to get the project in a stable state. And this will be in the form of a Chrome extension. So far, our organization, we communicate on our public Discord server. We've set up our repository, we have a start guide, we've picked our license, we have a code of conduct, a wiki, contribution guidelines, an issue tracker, a Kanban board, and GitHub discussions enabled to help welcome more people to our project. Contributions and progress so far, we have our code base set up. We have React JavaScript injected into extension, which is currently runnable. For the user interface team, we have user stories and use cases currently being tested, as well as a collaborative Figma document to illustrate these, as well as logo design in progress. On the back end, vague spoiler detection from contents of web page have been enabled. And for our development stack, on the front end, we mock up in Figma, which is a collaborative site for people to design user interfaces and use React.js for it. And on the back end primarily uses JavaScript. And that's our presentation for what we currently have going on right now.
So, are you? Is this going to be like a plugin?
It's going to be like a Chrome, like an extension, yeah.
Nice. We had somebody try this successfully for Twitter before, I think. So this would be even more powerful than that. So this is really cool.
Thank you. It was Rory and Covenant started it, so got to give credit to them.
Hey, making good choices. Good. All right, nice job. We have Scheif, SCHIFE, and then our last one for today will be Sandfot, The Drawing Game by Eli Schiff. All right,
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right, so
You also sound clear. Sorry.
That is a temporary name, so if anyone, I'm not very creative, if anyone has a better idea for a name, please feel free to let me know. The goal is to re-implement the website Scribble.io, but as a free and open source game. So Scribble.io, it's sort of like charades, except instead of acting it out, you play with friends online and you draw a picture of the center and people try to guess the word. And the main reason I want to implement this is because there's a few features that are lacking on the website, specifically spell check. So if you type in a word and it's close, but it's not exactly there, it can reveal the entire word to everyone else because they see your guess and then they could just spell it right. So spell check would help eliminate misspelled words, as well as features like an undo button and being able to draw with things other than lines. So I'm hoping to have a square tool. Imagine like MS Paint. So a little bit about my tech stack. I'm going to be using Vue.js for the front end, but the drawing interface can be written in HTML canvas. For the back end, I'm using Python WebSockets, and everything's going to be happening on GitHub. Just a little bit about the organization. It's MIT licensed. There's the link to my repo. I've got a README, a code of conduct. I'll be using the issue tracker, stuff like that. I enabled the GitHub discussions feature, so if anyone wants to discuss, they're more than welcome to. I don't expect anyone to use that, but it's good to have just in case. And then style guides, I'm using a linter. And then I'm hoping, if time permits at the end of the semester, I could try to write some tests in Jest and Cypress, but we will see about that. Contributions so far, so I've got a basic drawing interface with only the ability to draw lines and switch colors, so I drew like a little picture on the right. I'm not the best at drawing, but I tried to write I heart open source. And then I also have the ability to switch colors as I show, and then I have a little bit of a non-functional WebSocket server. I don't know much about servers, so that's something I really want to learn this semester. And that's it.
All right, nicely done. Again, I don't know if this came out of the COVID quarantine, but I've been playing some web games with friends, and it certainly seems like it could have. So I'm kind of sensing.
I played a lot of Scribble.io over the quarantine. I'd recommend it if you haven't played.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of stuff that I can attribute to quarantine. So, good. Any other questions for Eli? Do you think you're going to get to the while we're waiting for Tommy? Do you think you're going to get to a minimum viable product by the end of the semester?
I definitely can see myself getting to a product where at least you can draw and other people can see your drawings.
Mm-hmm.
The hope is to get beyond that, but I would be very surprised if I don't get to at least that minimal. It might not be a full-fledged game with points or anything like that, but the ability to draw and have imagine a shared canvas kind of thing, I definitely can see myself getting there. And the
Cool.
hope is to get much further than that.
Nice, because that would be a nice minimum interface that you could build off. That would certainly be enough to get out there.
Yep.
Again, I'm going to just mention that we often make the mistake of thinking we have to have a polished, before we start introducing it to anybody, before anybody else can see anything, we have to have a polished demo, and we don't. We have to have something that shows what we're trying to do, enough there to interest people. And enough to kind of hang other people's contributions off of. So that seems like a really good first step. All right. Are you there, Tommy?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. I don't see your screen yet.
I can see now.
I can see you also are coming through well.
Is my screen sharing yet or no?
No.
Let me try this.
There it is,
No.
Brokerbot.
Okay, great. Okay, so the project I'm working on is Brokerbot. I'm the only one from open source working on this project, but it was an Arcos project established this semester. We have Jack as a project lead, Will C, Will Z, Pav, Andy, George, and myself. So a little bit about it. It's essentially a trading bot. We want to do like semi-high frequency trading and like small profit trading so that there's not a lot of risk involved. Well, as little risk as possible, obviously. So our tech stack, we have Python mostly that we're using. And we're using the Alpaca Markets API, and as well as pandas for some of the data processing and stuff like that. So some of the goals that we have are to finalize the project organization because we don't have we're working on the code of conduct and fleshing all that stuff out still. We do have a styling guide though, so that's a plus. So we want to also implement all of our classes and essentially the end goal is to establish a passive income, but we're not sure that's going to happen this semester because a lot of us don't have experience trading and with strategies and stuff like that. So we all have to learn, and that's probably going to take some time. But so far we've accomplished a lot of the data intake with the Alpaca API and processing and stuff like that, as well as we've been doing a lot of research on strategies and past textbooks that have been written on this. And we also have implemented multi-threading for multiple data streams so that we can listen to multiple streams at once. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have for the presentation, but thank you for listening. Let me know if you have any questions.
All right, any questions about Brokerbot? So are you concerned that if you make this open source, it'll impact your ability to make money?
Slightly, but the end goal is that we want to have essentially it be a web application where everyone can log into their own broker bot and they can pick their stocks and analyze the risk and stuff like that. So we would provide a service along with it and not just the strategies and stuff like that.
So from that standpoint, you're following along the steps of all the self-help books. Right, it's a really good strategy. Instead of making money off of, you convince other people to pay you money for your secrets on how to make money.
Exactly.
So that is awesome. And that's the right way to do it. It's less risk and more lucrative, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. No, good idea. All right, I think that wraps up the presentations we want to go through today. If you didn't present on Tuesday or today, we're going to try to wrap this up next Tuesday. We're also going to talk about containerization and virtualization. I spent all that stuff broke, by the way. So I just spent the week essentially rewriting and reinstalling all of the virtualization stuff, mainly because I think a lot of you are using WSL, and I wanted to make sure that whatever I did worked on WSL as opposed to, or make sure that we could use WSL as opposed to other. In previous semesters, I've just pretty much recommended that people go to Linux for this one and a bunch of other ones. So it looks like we can work. It also looks like it may have broken my ability to let's see. It may have broken my ability to let's see if this works. Nope. Okay. It may have broken my ability to do XWindows. So I have to work on fixing that, but the next labs do actually work on that. I am going to quickly show you your lab for today, and I'll paste the link into chat. One of the things that broke when we broke my ability to use XWindows was my XWindow based utility for creating PDFs. So I'm having problems generating the activities in the activities window. I will try to do that while you guys are working, but the link for it is down there. And we will look at that. Yeah, so this is your lab on continuous integration today. I'm going to have you take a look at CMake. Although I think it says VTK somewhere up here. Yeah, this should be an established project, CMake, as opposed to VTK. We will fix that. I fixed it every place else. This was the first of 2 in a row that had substantial issues. So I'm going to have you go through. We're going to have you look at CMake as an established open source project with a substantial testing block. We'll have you, I think I have you add some testing to this. Run some tests. And then what we'll have you do is, having done that, we'll have you go in and use our, a very simple project. Yeah, so you'll run the C-test suite of tests on CMake. Run the tests, pass and fail some tests. We'll have you mod the kitware copyright. They have some tests in the CMake system to make sure the copyright goes out correctly. We'll have you modify that just to fail the test, and then we'll have you fix it again. After that, we're going to have you set up a CMake test on GitHub. The thing to keep in mind here is that there is, just like there was a linter, a pre-rolled linter test suite or test runner on GitHub, there is a pre-rolled CMake YAML file. So you should, so there should be very little that you actually have to generate for this. You'll have to add a pull request in. You saw me do that for the linter, verify the action runs, and pass all the tests. So this uses our untested math, maybe, or unnecessary math. Yeah, this from our CMake lab, step 5. So start from CMake lab, step 5, and add that in, add some tests in, and set them up as automatic test runs in the CI/CD stuff, the actions of the GitHub. All right. This is what you're looking for, and just to show you that, in fact, we do have that. Let's see, which window had There we go. Here's our CMake runs from before. If we go back to our, you can see we're now getting green check marks. We can go back to our pull requests, and you can see that the fixing the header now has all checks passed, so all of our tests have run. No conflicts with the base branch. We can merge this pull request. I will have to back this pull request out so I can do this again next year. But there is everything, and our code is now free of lint errors for our contribution guidelines. All right, any questions? Otherwise, get started with your labs. I will work to try to get that lab pulled up as a activity one way or another. But like I said, Docker broke a few things. Unfortunately, it broke something that I actually needed, which is unfortunate. I guess I can just upload it as a markdown file. Let's see if that works. It's not going to look as nice, but okay, that didn't work either. Apparently, Nux doesn't like markdown files. I will get you something as soon as I can. I'm working on it. Yeah, Matt, just the link on Submittee says lab set. So I knew one of you would catch me on this. I skipped a lab. I skipped the statistics lab when I gave you guys a day off, but I don't want to renumber my Submittee gradables, and I don't want to confuse myself in other years. So submit this lab to lab 7. It is technically your 7th lab, but in our normal schedule, this would be lab 8. So yeah, just pretend everything is okay and submit this lab 8 to the lab 7 Submittee gradable. Good question. I knew somebody would catch me.